Lalisa and Paul were in a happy relationship for 2 years. They really loved each other, and Lalisa thought Paul was the perfect boyfriend. Paul started acting a bit different, asking Lalisa questions that made her think he might propose soon. Lalisa was excited, thinking maybe he'd propose on Christmas. But then, Paul stopped answering her calls and texts. She felt sad, spent days in bed crying, and couldn't get in touch with Paul. Lois, Lalisa's close friend, grew concerned witnessing Lalisa's distress. In an attempt to lift her spirits, Lois suggested that the best way to move on from a past relationship is to explore new ones. She proposed setting Lalisa up on dates. Lalisa, still holding on to her relationship with Paul, expressed concern for his well-being, believing he wouldn't abruptly end things without an explanation. Despite her worries, Lois encouraged Lalisa to go out, enjoy herself, and not spend Christmas bedridden with tears. Lois then noticed a photo frame beside Lalisa's bed featuring her favorite boy band, the Allure Boys. Smiling, Lois held the frame and suggested, "What if I told you I could arrange a date for you with these boys?" Lalisa chuckled, skeptical of the idea, stating, "Do you really expect me to believe that? Getting a concert ticket is already challenging, and now you claim you can set up a date with them." Lois, maintaining her smile, responded, "Just dress up and look pretty tomorrow night. I'm going to make you go on a date with each and every single one of these boys before leaving." The next evening, Lalisa remained sad in bed, feeling miserable, and didn't bother to dress up as Lois had suggested. Convinced that Lois was merely trying to lift her spirits, she heard the doorbell ring and casually called out, "Come in, the door is not locked." Assuming it was Lois, she took a moment to get up. When she opened the door, she gasped and hastily shut it. It wasn't Lois, but Charles, a member of the Allure Boys, standing right at her doorstep. Remembering Lois's words, Lalisa immediately called her to confirm if she orchestrated Charles's visit. Lois's response was a simple, "I told you to dress up and look pretty." Lalisa sighed, hung up, and nervously tittied her appearance. Slowly reopening the door, she found Charles, who greeted her with a gracious smile, asking if he caught her at a bad time. Lalisa, still surprised, stammered a quick denial. Charles then smoothly asked if she was ready for their date. Lalisa, assessing her appearance, replied, "Give me a minute." She closed the door, hastily donned a dinner dress, heels, and applied makeup. When she reopened the door, she declared, "I'm ready." Charles scanned her from head to toe, letting out a giggle. "You look really pretty," he said. Lalisa thanked him, and they proceeded to Charles's car, where he courteously opened the door for her to take a seat. She wondered why Charles giggled upon seeing her. Expecting a fancy dinner, they instead drove to an arcade. Lalisa, puzzled, glanced at her dress and heels, then at the place, and finally turned to Charles, who stood there with a smile. Nervously, Lalisa laughed, mentioning that if she knew they were coming to an arcade, she wouldn't have dressed this way. Charles reassured her, saying it was fine. He brought her to the arcade because he noticed her sadness and thought playing games and having fun might distract her. They entered, and Lalisa truly enjoyed herself, even though Charles, being his usual competitive self, didn't give her much chance to win. At the end of the night, Charles drove her back home. The moment she entered her house, she called Lois to share everything that happened on the date. Lois then informed her that it wasn't the end and that she would be going on a date with all the boys, so she should get ready for the next night too. Lalisa, despite her lingering sadness and attempts to reach Paul, was eagerly looking forward to the second date. She dressed up well in advance, having learned her lesson from the surprise arcade date with Charles. Choosing an outfit suitable for any occasion, she anxiously awaited the evening. When her doorbell rang, she eagerly sprung up and quickly went to open the door. She screamed in excitement when she saw Mateo standing at her doorstep. Mateo was her favorite member of the group, even though she loved all of them very much. Lalisa asked to take a photo, and Mateo agreed, taking her phone and snapping pictures since he was taller. He took pictures until Lalisa was satisfied. They both drove to a place that Lalisa recognized immediately, Mateo's private kitchen. No one except the group had set foot inside there. Lalisa was excited, but also nervous because Mateo was really good at cooking, whereas she couldn't even boil spaghetti. If Mateo made her cook with him, she might probably burn the place down. When they went in, Mateo took 2 aprons, wore one, and then gave one to Lalisa. He asked her if she knew how to bake cookies, and Lalisa replied, "Honestly, no, I don't." Mateo smiled and said, "Don't worry, I can teach you." He gently guided Lalisa and taught her step by step how to make the cookies. With Mateo's help, Lalisa successfully baked the cookies, although a few ended up burnt. They collaborated to decorate the cookies with Christmas toppings. Mateo insisted on taking the cookies home, despite Lalisa's reluctance as she felt embarrassed about the possibility of him having to endure her burnt and probably bad-tasting cookies. Mateo reassured her that they weren't that bad. He drove her home, and Lalisa kept the aprons as a souvenir. Lalisa entered her house, reminiscing about the night and eagerly anticipating date 3. When she opened the door, she was greeted by Archie, the sweetest member of the group. She spent a minute admiring his cuteness before snapping back into reality. For their date, Archie took her to an animal shelter, which didn't surprise Lalisa, knowing how much he loved animals. Archie looked incredibly sweet while petting the animals, especially the dogs, as his love for them was evident. The animals seemed so comfortable with him, as if they had known him for a long time. Archie noticed that Lalisa was a bit scared of some of the animals and asked if she was okay. She replied that she was fine, not wanting to spoil the beautiful moment between him and the animals. In the end, Archie adopted a dog and a cat, even though he already had around 5 pets. The night concluded, and Lalisa was driven home. She still couldn't believe she had the golden chance to spend time with the Allure boys. On the 4th night, Silas was at the door, the silly and goofy member of the group. There was never a dull moment with him. They were going to the movies for their date, and on the ride to the cinema, Silas cracked jokes, making Lalisa laugh the entire time. It was a lively car ride. They randomly chose a movie, but in the middle of watching it, Lalisa turned to see Silas sleeping. Feeling a bit drowsy herself due to the boring movie, she resisted the urge to fall asleep next to her favorite boy band group member. Silas looked surprisingly good, even while sleeping with his mouth open, something Lalisa was determined to avoid as it wouldn't be a flattering look. Silas woke up the moment the movie ended, almost like he had timed it perfectly. He apologized for sleeping on their date and, to make up for it, he took Lalisa to get ice cream before driving her home. Lalisa cherished these memorable dates, hoping they would continue indefinitely. On the 5th night, Felix was her date. Felix was known to be the straightforward member of the group. Known for his candid nature, Felix never sugarcoats his words, earning him a reputation for being perceived as mean and rude. Lalisa, however, believed in the sweetness beneath his straightforward exterior, even though they hadn't met before. Nervous about her date with Felix, Lalisa wondered about his impression of her. Detecting her unease, Felix inquired, "Are you nervous? Do I look scary?" Lalisa promptly responded, "Not at all, I promise." Felix, with a smile, graciously opened the car door for her. He took her to a quiet restaurant, typical of his style. As they conversed, Lalisa found her nervousness fading away. Felix was indeed a kind and genuine person. He turned out to be the kind of friend one could confide in. Lalisa found herself deeply engaged in their conversation, reluctant to part ways. She was sent home, and all she could do was wait for the next date. Justin, the quiet member of the group, turned out to be Lalisa's 6th date. Despite his reserved nature, Lalisa found comfort in his silent company. Together, they visited an art gallery, and even though art wasn't Lalisa's forte, she cherished the moment. As Justin admired the art pieces, Lalisa found herself captivated by him, considering him a perfect work of art in her eyes. The night concluded, leaving Lalisa yearning for the ability to freeze time. On the seventh night, despite Lalisa enjoying the ongoing dates, a wave of sadness overcame her as she missed Paul. However, when the doorbell rang, anticipating her seventh date, she eagerly opened it to find Case. The baby of the group, Case, hugged Lalisa excitedly, bringing a cheerful energy with him. He arrived with chicken and drinks, suggesting a cozy night in. Lalisa, secretly relieved, welcomed the idea. They spent the evening eating, drinking, and sharing stories, bonding like old friends. Case's easygoing nature made it a delightful night. But as usual, it ended too quickly, with Case promising Lalisa they would meet again. On the eighth date, Ezra, another reserved member of the group, took Lalisa to a pottery place. Lalisa excelled at pottery, finding joy in her proficiency at something her favorite band member enjoyed. They crafted mugs for each other, and Ezra was genuinely impressed by the mug Lalisa made for him. He even asked her to be his pottery teacher, but she laughed it off as a joke. At home, Lalisa felt a tinge of sadness as her series of date nights approached its end. With just 2 more members to go, she contemplated the possibility of not having the chance to hang out with them again. On the 9th date, Anthony took her to a Christmas karaoke event, where she simply enjoyed watching him sing with his angelic voice. The last date had arrived, and Lalisa was uncertain whether to dress up and anticipate a date or not. The final member of the group for the date was Zen, whose real name remained a mystery. Zen always wore a mask, adding an aura of intrigue that captivated people's curiosity. His voice, sending chills down listeners' spines, contributed to his popularity. Lalisa, unsure of what to expect, still dressed up and waited, hoping Lois had managed to secure a date with Zen. As she sat waiting, the doorbell rang, and she mentally prepared herself to finally see Zen's face. However, upon opening the door, she was surprised to find the entire group, except Zen, standing there. Without saying a word, they gestured for her to join them in a van, leaving her with mixed emotions as she pondered this final day with the boys and the missed opportunity to meet Zen. They drove to an empty stadium, and there on the stage, stood Zen, still wearing his mask. The other boys joined Zen on stage, and Lalisa, on the verge of bursting with excitement, thought to herself, "Am I getting an exclusive concert?" The boys began to perform on the stage, with Zen singing and the rest playing their drums and guitars. What struck Lalisa as strange was that the song Zen sang wasn't a released one, and it had her name in it. Blushing, she couldn't help but believe they had specially written a song just for her. After the song ended, Zen went down on one knee and presented a box, revealing a ring. He then took off his mask, leaving Layla gasping in shock. To her surprise, Zen was Paul, her boyfriend. Paul began, "Lalisa, I wrote down everything I wanted to say to you, and memorized it, but seeing your pretty face made me forget. You are the most amazing person I have ever met. Every day with you feels like a warm embrace. I can't imagine my life without you. I'm so nervous right now, words are not coming out. Lalisa, will you marry me?" Lalisa walked up to Paul, her excitement turning into anger, and she punched him in the stomach. Paul groaned a little from the pain. Lalisa then asked, "Is this some kind of game?" Paul quickly replied, "No, it's not." Lalisa said, "I was really worried, thinking something bad happened to you, and you were here playing games with me?" Lois, who had been hiding, came out and said, "He didn't do anything wrong. It was my idea. He asked me to help him propose to you and reveal his identity as Zen. I was also shocked to find out he was Zen. I remembered that you really loved his band, so I gave him this idea." "I'm so sorry." Lalisa asked, "You knew?" "Of course you knew. How then? Could you set up dates with them for me?" Lalisa's parents also came out of hiding, and Lalisa gasped, saying, "You guys were in on this too? I feel so betrayed right now." Paul admitted, "It's nobody's fault but mine. I wanted to surprise you and make this moment unforgettable, but I guess I went too far. I'm so sorry. I promise I'll give you a proper proposal, and I'll do it right." Lalisa went up to Paul, took the box, removed the ring, and placed it on her hand, saying, "You don't have to." Paul's face lit up with excitement. "You agreed to marry me?" He was about to hug Lalisa, but she blocked him with her hand, stating, "I haven't forgiven you yet." Silas asked, "What about us?" Lalisa replied, "You guys too. I can't believe you all played me like that." Case then said, "We only agreed because we wanted to meet and bond with our sister-in-law. We are so sorry." Lalisa then said, "Anyways, I'm still mad at everyone present here." Paul asked, "Can I at least get a kiss? I missed you so much." Lalisa replied, "I didn't ask you to ghost me. You can get a kiss when I'm done being mad." Saying that, she left the place. Eventually, she forgave everyone, although she wasn't really mad at them. Lalisa and Paul got married, with Lois as the bridesmaid and the band members as the best men.